Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of RE/MAX Associated Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Community Health. We have 8 locations to serve you better. Our staff is dedicated to help you and your family. Here's your host, Vicki Soulé.
And good afternoon. Welcome to Community Conversations. As the intro said, my name is Vicki Soulé, and I am the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health, which gives us primary care resources throughout our community. We have 8 locations, so if you're just new to town, Google us and you'll find that we have been in existence for 26 years providing primary care, not just in medical, but in dental, behavioral health, discounted pharmaceuticals, x-ray, one-stop shopping, whatever we can do to make it easier and affordable for everyone in our community to get care. Now, last week, I was so pleased to have one of our own physicians here, Dr. Tony Pham, who joined us a while ago from the service, actually. So he is very happy to see all of our veterans in the neighborhood. But more than that, he is a real expert in keeping us healthy. So I asked him to talk to us about blood pressure, and that is such a huge topic that we didn't even get a chance to complete. And because it's such an important thing, after all, isn't it better to know than to guess? I asked him to come back so that we could continue that conversation and bring more knowledge to you to keep you healthier. So welcome back, Dr. Pham.
Thank you.
Now, blood pressure is something that we all hear about, but why is it important enough for us to spend 2 back-to-back sessions talking about it?
Yes, so Vicki, blood pressure is so important. One third to 1/2 of our population, 18 years old and older, have high blood pressure.
So it's not just a thing that automatically happens with aging then?
Well, it could happen with aging as well.
Okay.
Because what happened is that the heart is having to work harder against the blood vessel that can be hardened by cholesterol, by diabetes, or any other medical condition as well. So it could be a normal aging process, but it could be due to environmental factors as well.
So those kinds of things could accelerate and make a particular population or ethnicity group more prone to have high blood pressure. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
As you recall from last conversation, we were talking about there are certain risk factors. Certain risk factor could be from the genetics, things that we can change such as gender. Male tend to have high blood pressure than female. Black have more high blood pressure than other population. And then people with certain disease, genetic disease, could have high blood pressure. And other risk factor that could be, self-induced or environmental, such as if you're eating too much with a lot of salt.
Okay.
If too much meat or not
too much
eating,
smoking?
Too much smoking, alcohol, not enough exercise, etc. Those modify a risk factor, which we can talk about it in a little bit.
Okay.
And then I think I remember last time we mentioned that a normal blood pressure is defined as 120/80, and your provider might not do anything until your blood pressure is about 140/90 and above. And then the blood pressure that I want you to be cautious about is we call it hypertensive crisis, is when it's above 180/120, which is very high. Along with it, if you were to have any symptoms such as chest pain or any kind of stroke-like symptom, I would recommend go to the ER right away.
So one would assume, and I guess I'm asking you to verify this, if you had a hypertensive crisis, very, very high blood pressure, you would assume that you would feel some symptoms internally?
Sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't, which I was going to talk about in a few minutes, is that what kind of symptom do people have? Most of the time, you have no symptom whatsoever. That's the scary part. is because it's a silent killer. So just like COVID, you have no symptom, but you're walking around, you might be sick. Same thing. Think of it as this way, that your blood pressure might be high. It could be dangerous high, and you have no symptom whatsoever. Some people may have some symptom, though.
Okay. Which would include what? Like
Some
headaches?
Well, this is not typical. Some people might feel like maybe they have a light head, maybe a headache, maybe they might feel dizzy, maybe they feel palpitation in their heart, or maybe they have a pulsing sensation that they might feel. But it's very atypical.
So this is where I get to come back in and say a pound of prevention, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so I think about going into Publix and other public places where they have blood pressure cuffs. If you thought that you had risk factors, would you be one of those that should be lining up to have that blood pressure check?
Yes, I do recommend that people, first of all, if you're suspicious that you might have high blood pressure, maybe have it checked.
By a doctor?
No, not only by a doctor, but you could have it checked or at least screened from someplace. And then if you want to confirm it, talk to somebody who knows how. And I believe we talked from quickly from last visit, the right way of doing blood pressure is that you have to sit and rest for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Keep your arm at the heart level, and then do not smoke cigarette, do not exercise before, and then if your bladder is full, make sure you empty it, and then check your blood pressure.
So that all systems are copacetic. You're optimizing that reading.
Right, and you have to be completely relaxed. And if you do blood pressure on one arm is high, and then do it on the other arm to check it as well. And
because you would normally expect them both to be the same?
That's correct.
Okay.
And sometimes if they're significantly different, it may indicate some other medical problem.
Okay.
Right. And when you're in doubt, you can also bring your machine in and check with your
primary care or
primary care
specialist
provider or healthcare center.
Yeah, there you go. You remembered. Well, I think that's really great advice. Certainly, I'm all for pushing, annual exams. As you say, with optimizing your blood pressure, Publix might not be the best place, okay? But I do recommend that people use multiple sources, and so I'm glad you included people who are knowledgeable. I forget about how many people have at-home measurement devices these days. Yeah.
Right. And we do recommend that as well. And that's the best way to screen it. But like I mentioned before, get the expert to do it. And that's why we have the healthcare center for you to come and use.
And they don't have to have an appointment. We have nurses that are willing to see them, take their measurement, and then follow up with them. So you're right. It's a team affair. Thank you. So let's assume that somebody is just slightly, say maybe they're 145 to 150. What's the normal course then for that kind of slightly elevated blood pressure? Is it wait and see?
Yeah. So first of all, remember we talk about like modifiable risk factor. So most of the time, the provider, when they evaluate you for high blood pressure in the beginning, if you come in at all, we would do a series of tests, including blood tests. We might consider doing the EKG, which is a mapping, electrical mapping of your heart to see if any conduction problem.
Okay.
We might do a chest X-ray, and we might recommend you to be seen by nutritionists if your diet is not optimal. Maybe recommend that you reduce your salt to less than 2.3 grams per day.
So suddenly we got to learn how to read those labels again, huh?
That's correct. Not only reading a label, but avoid any food that contain high sodium, such as preserved food for canned food or restaurant food, especially.
Really?
Yeah, yes. In order for things to taste good, it has a lot of fat and salt and sugar.
Yes, that's true.
All good things are bad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the providers initially might recommend some modifiable
changes to the lifestyle.
Change in lifestyle, and we can watch it for at least maybe 3 to 6 months. And if your blood pressure is still elevated, provider might consider putting you on some medication. And again, like I mentioned before, you are the driver. We are the co-pilot or a consultant to your healthcare.
Well, that's all. I'm glad you repeated that from last time. And I can't believe it's time for a break already. Time flies when we're talking about this. So stay tuned, listeners. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll talk about the big M word, medications. The new year is underway, and it's time to schedule your annual physical. This quick, comprehensive visit can uncover diabetes, high blood pressure, and even cancer, ultimately saving your life. Treasure Coast Community Health waives Medicare deductibles and offers a sliding fee scale discount, so everyone can afford to take care of their health. We can't fix what we don't know. Let's work together to make a healthier community. Call us today at 772-257-TCCH. We're a nonprofit.
If you want a home that has the style of the coast, come to Sunshine Furniture during the Tommy Bahama and Lexington half-price spring home event. Now until February 28th, you save 50% on all bedroom, dining room, media, office, and occasional furniture with fresh finishes and rich textures made from materials that reflect the essence of coastal living. At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is also filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture from Universal, Hooker, Riverside, Four Seasons, and Capri. We are the outdoor furniture experts and have the largest selection of patio furniture anywhere. Visit Sunshine Furniture now during the Tommy Bahama and Lexington half-price spring home event. All pictures, lamps, and accessories are 50% off. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in Vero Beach, next to Planet Fitness. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com. Also, don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store just across the street.
ITEX, or International Trade Exchange, is the largest barter company in the world, with over 25,000 members offering goods and services. We're a marketing company that brings you new business in the way of trade, with over 200 local members enjoying the benefits of ITEX, like lawyers, doctors, plumbers, media, printing, and more.
Hi, this is Liz Bowler. Contact me and find out why barter through ITEX has been smarter for over 30 years. 772-532-1881. Visit itex.com.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining us, this is Vicki Soule from Treasure Coast Community Health. I'm happy and proud to bring different individuals to our radio program every week so that we can share our learning because knowledge is power, right? So rather than guess, I try to bring individuals here that have some pertinent information for you to learn and grow with. And I hope that will keep you tuning in every week. So welcome back, Dr. Pham. We've spent the first half of the program kind of revisiting some of the things that you talked us through last week in terms of elevated blood pressure, high blood pressure we call it, or hypertension, and some of the things that cause it, some of the things that we can do to prevent it or modify it if it's creeping up. It was amazing to me to hear that between 25 and 35% of the American public struggle with high blood pressure between 18 and 65. So it's not just what happens when you get older. I like to think that, but it's not true. And we went through all the risk factors, but we finally ended on the big M, the medication. If it's not modifiable by our lifestyle or other components, then often the magic toolkit will include some sort of medication. What kinds of medicines are used to control high blood pressure? And more importantly, what are their side effects? You know, I'm a little nervous about ever taking medications. So help walk me through that.
right? So blood pressure medication, we have a wide variety of blood pressure medication, and it works in many different ways.
Okay.
Some of it work in the brain, so it reduce the sympathetic system. Some work in the heart, slow down your heart, and then slow down the blood pressure generated from the heart. Some other medication works in the blood vessel by dilating the blood vessel, either the artery or the vein. And we have other medication that works in the kidney in many ways, either causing the kidney to secrete some hormone that affect the blood pressure or cause you to lose more water and more salt.
Chemistry is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
it's amazing. And think of it. Each of these class of medication, we have 3 or 4 or even more different medication in each subclass. And therefore, the number of medication available for you to use is a lot.
And I can remember, this is ancient history, but I can remember being much younger and seeing those kinds of new medications on the TV commercials. Not often, it was mostly cars and trucks then, but now it's all the very specialist drugs that they are hoping to educate people on. But I do remember those days where it was newly promoted as research achievements.
Definitely, and it all helps. And the thing is that each medication has different each class of medication has different kinds of side effects.
Okay.
Some medication might cause you to have leg swelling, maybe constipation, maybe coughing, those side effects of the ACE inhibitor. Some other medication may make you feel lightheaded or change in your electrolyte. But however, remember this, even though that the medication has a side effect list as causing leg swelling or constipation, but not 100% of people who taking the medication will experience the same side effect.
The FDA requires that any side effect through the studies be reported as a potential side effect.
That's right.
Okay.
And if you look at the detail carefully, maybe only like 3 or 5 people out of 100 people may have that side effect. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid. If you look at the list of the side effects, you probably will never take any medication, even Tylenol or Motrin.
That doesn't have something.
Right. Every single side effect has, every medication has some side effect. However, think of this. The biggest side effect I want you to remember from taking this blood pressure medication is that it keep you alive, keep your blood pressure healthy. And the biggest side effect is that maybe you have to live a little bit longer than if you're not.
And from what you're telling me, it sounds like, you start with the provider's recommendation in terms of which class would work best for you based on your other conditions or health status or whatever. But if it's not right, if you let them know, how are you feeling a month later or 2 weeks later, or even calling the office, there are other options. You shouldn't struggle and keep dealing with those side effects without letting the original provider know that.
You're definitely right. So I forgot to mention is that when the provider pick and choose the medication for you, we would be considering other medical problem that you might have. For example, if you were having a lot of migraine headache or anything like that, we might have medication that might help not only the blood pressure, but it can also prevent you from getting a migraine headache as well.
A twofer is what I call those. Yes. Okay.
Yes. It's a bonus.
Yes.
So do let your provider know. And if you ever have any symptom with your medication, let your provider know as well. For instance, people who's taking an ACE inhibitor, like something common like a lisinopril, you might not have any symptom whatsoever for many years. Maybe 5 or 10 years down the road, you might have this dry cough, nagging cough for no reason. And You might have a complete workup, pulmonary workup, and vascular workup, and everything is negative. But if you tell your provider that you're taking that medication, we change it, and your symptom might completely resolve. So do let your provider know about side effects.
Absolutely. And so it occurs to me, too, that there's several barriers to people not taking their medicines, and side effects are certainly one of those. The other one that constantly comes to my attention, because people say, I can't afford it, okay? They said I should do this, but I can't afford it, or I can't get out to pick up the medications. So what is your recommendation for those kinds of patients?
Well, you come to the right place, because our TCCH Healthcare Center, we are experienced with a indigenous population where they may not have the money to afford expensive medication, and our providers are experienced with providing health care to those people with limited resource. In fact, we know that certain pharmacy in the local area might provide you with blood pressure medication for free. If you qualify.
Okay. So, free is always good.
Definitely.
And you're right. We do have a lot of great community partners, and that makes a big difference.
So it does help. So even though you don't have money for anything, but we can provide you medication to help your blood pressure.
And, that's a wonderful thing, because, again, as you've said, one of the best side effects is you can live a normal life and a nice, long, full life, and you couldn't do that if you didn't take your medications. So something so simple has great value. So let's flip it around. Just before we end, I want to make sure I ask the right question. Are there medications that cause high blood pressure? Other medications that, again, you should be sharing, whether they're off the shelf or prescriptions that might be responsible for slightly or majorly elevated blood pressure.
So as you recall, one of the causes for a high blood pressure is a sodium salt.
Okay.
So some of the medication might have high sodium salt, such as Motrin, naproxen, even some aspirin. So make sure you look at the label of your medication. If it has high sodium salt, it might contribute to your blood pressure. Other medication that known to cause high blood pressure, including stimulant, for example, medication for weight loss, or any energy drink, over-the-counter weight loss
like our infamous Gatorade?
Not Gatorade,
okay,
other
good.
things like Bullseye and stuff like that. So you have to watch out for those.
Okay.
Stimulants such as the medication for ADHD, or maybe some of these over-the-counter medications, such as for coughing or allergy, such as Sudafed, that contain phenylephrine. Those can cause high blood pressure as well. So do watch out for some of those things. So
think about what you're going to put in your mouth and whether it's the right time, the right way, and right for you. Because we've certainly talked about things that you as a person are in control of. And I really appreciate all the new insights you've given us into high blood pressure. And if you haven't checked your blood pressure lately, folks, do it. Okay? There's nothing to be afraid of. You have only the best to live. Don't let your family be shocked because you didn't get to it. Okay? And thank you so much for being with us till the end. Next week, we'll be back with another great guest. Dr. Pham's going to get back to treating patients during this time, so it'll be a surprise, but I know you'll be pleased. Have a great night.